Namaskar, and wish you all a very, very happy, prosperous, joyful, peaceful Deepavali. Diwali is a festival of lights and for many also a festival of firecrackers. I know there are many of us who feel that firecrackers are to be avoided or reduced or kept at a distance because of the pollution it causes. And then there are others amongst us who feel that, this indulgence is perfectly all right. It is something coming as part of tradition and culture and probably does not contribute to such levels of pollution as is being claimed. We will look at that point, but before that, I was fascinated by reading the history of fireworks, how it all began, how it all originated. This is not a complete academic study. This is a quick research done out of absolute curiosity because I'm also in a very festive and happy mood on Diwali Eve. I will just share two, three research sites which I have visited and give you 4 or 5 points. The first very interesting source that I found was as old as 2500 years ago. It is from the literary works of the Tamil saint Bogar, one of the 18 Siddhas, highly respected in Tamil Nadu and all over India. And Bogar was a saint, of course, but he was a saint and a scientist and a physician and an alchemist of repute. And this is not uncommon because in those days they had a disciplinary approach to study, and no study, whether it be mathematics or science, physics, astronomy, medicine, was separated from self-study, which is the spiritual study and ascent of the soul in man. So many of our old saints, we call them rishis, like Aryabhatta and Bhaskaracharya and Charaka. We respect them for not only contributing to material science, but also living their lives as a realized human being in society. So, coming back to Saint Bogar, he wrote a treatise in Tamil, very famous one, called Yer Iram, which means 7,000 verses. In that treatise, Yer Iram, Saint Bogar lists ingredients used to make distillations which are essential for what he refers to as Vedi Uppu. Now, Vedi in Tamil is explosion and Uppu is a salt. So it is a chemical salt which, in the right conditions, can create a blast. Now, this is what in English later is known as saltpeter. And it's also referred to in Sanskrit texts as Agnichuran. And in these verses, Bogar gives a detailed description of methods used to manufacture different kinds of Vediyuppa and also describes its uses, one of which is as a firecracker. Bogar mentions the use of various substances, biosubstances such as castor seeds and wicks, rice paste and bamboo tubes, chemical substances such as sulfur, mercury, copper salts, and even arsenic, and metallic substances such as the dusts of copper, iron, steel, lead, brass, and zinc. All these have been described in detail in his thesis on how to make various types of explosives, including the use of some of them as firecrackers for entertainment. This was 2500 years ago, as we said, and about 300 years after that time, Chanakya, the author of Arthashastra, has mentioned in that treatise at several places the use of Agni Churan and explained its use in warfare, explosives in warfare. A little later, in the 14th and 15th century, we have two treatises, one called Kantuka Chintamani by Gajapati Pratap Rudra Deva, and another Akasha Bhairava Kalpa by an unknown author, and both of these also mention the use of firecrackers. About 1 century later, which is still 500 years ago, we have Rukmani Swayamvar, which is a popular 16th century Marathi poem by the saint Eknath. And in it, he describes Rukmini's wedding with Krishna. And the poem mentions a range of fireworks from what can be described today as rockets and to something held in the hand, which can be the equivalent of sparklers, or in Hindi, fuljaris. In Malayalam too, there is a very small, should I say, cryptic treatise on how to make fireworks, a kind of manual, and it's called Vetti Kampavidhi. Now there are several visitors to India who have also seen at that time the use of fireworks and mentioned it as part of their literary travel works. I will cite two of them here. There is an old Chinese text which is dated to 500 CE, Common Era, which is about 1600 years ago, and that mentions the use of fireworks and the production of fireworks in plenty in northwestern Bharat. I will say Bharat because at that time Bharat included Bangladesh and Burma. All of that was part of the expansive India of that time. So northwestern India, along with Tamil Nadu, seems to have been very well versed in the production of fireworks. And there is another reference in another travelogue. This is in 1518, which is 600 years ago. Duarte Barbosa, a writer and officer of Portuguese India, he wrote many long treatises on his travels here, and he mentions a Brahmin wedding in Gujarat, where the bride and bridegroom are entertained by the people with dancing and songs, with the firing of bombs and rockets in plenty. So the production and use of fireworks has been going on for a long, long time in this region. And also in our northern neighbor, China, which is also known to have mastered the art and science of producing gunpowder and using it in various fireworks. An interesting aside is that in Tamil literature, old Tamil literature, even Sangam literature, it is mentioned that Saint Bogar, towards the end of his life, traveled to China. So obviously there was an exchange even in those days, and a very positive, useful, harmonious exchange between China and India. And of course, one wishes that that could happen again at a civilizational level, not just political. Now, the production and manufacture and even export of saltpeter, or this gunpowder material from India is well documented by the British, and there is a very, very interesting and important compilation called the Economic Products of India. It's a huge treatise in, I think, 6 volumes, and written by Sir George Watt. I think he wrote it between 1880 and 1910. And that mentions that India was almost had a monopolistic hold, not because it wanted to monopolize, but because the gunpowder production was going on in so many places in India, and they had had scales of production which could enable them to export this material to all over the world, including China. In particular, he mentions a figure which is mind-boggling. He says that between 1800 and 1860, India sold saltpeter, that is gunpowder, worth 750,000 British pounds to USA alone. Remarkable figure. Now, that is firecrackers. I was fascinated when I read it. I thought I'll share it with you. I will also put the links of the 3 or 4 research sources of mine for people who want to get into a deeper research about fireworks, either as a chemist, as an alchemist, as a historian, or also as an Indologist, if you're interested. I would really recommend that you download the free book, all the volumes available by Sir George Watt on the economic products of India. Now, part 2 of Diwali discussion: to burst firecrackers or not, and does it cause pollution or not, and if so, how much it does. Now, this has become a deeply divisive subject. At a festive time when there's a atmosphere of bonhomie, and there should be friendship and bhaichara all around. To divide society on this line, is there any alternative? I mean, is there any other way we can sort this out? Yes, firecrackers will contribute some carbon dioxide and some sulfur and some nitrous substances into the air. That is a fact, because those are the ingredients which go into the making. Now, what is the pollution contribution of firecrackers when compared to other sources of air pollution? This is not to justify anyone polluting anything, just to see things in context. If you are driving a car, an SUV in a city, you are probably contributing more to air pollution in a week than what you would if you burst firecrackers on that one night annually on Diwali night. And if there are 300,000 people like you in a city, like Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Kolkata, etc., and can you imagine the 300, 400,000 of you contributing to about 100,000 Diwalis every year through vehicle emission alone? The fact of the matter is that the contributors of pollution, like I said, transport is one, but deforestation, because there is no way that all organisms, including humans, there is no way we are not going to produce carbon dioxide. We do. That's how we live, by taking in oxygen and producing carbon dioxide. And humans, by using fire, to cook at home in a small way, or as a furnace in industry, are contributing. Anyway, you're burning wood and producing that, or coal. Now, deforestation is a thing which is contributing far more to our problem, to aggravating our problem, because our forests are our absorbents. The carbon dioxide which we release, our wonderful vegetative world, the forests, they are the ones which can take it in, which can consume that carbon dioxide and reduce it from our atmosphere and make a balance. We have destroyed that balance. So if I can put it in a different way, if you are a pro-forest, and if you are a tree conservationist, and if you plant 10 or 20 of the trees and take care of them, not just planting and going away, seeing to it that they grow to a certain maturity, 5 to 7 years, and then they can be independent. If you do that, bursting crackers on one Diwali night is going to produce probably less pollution than those 10 or 20 or 30 trees can absorb. So we have to find some way of balance, I feel. And on the day of Diwali, it really saddens me to read news reports that such and such state has banned firecrackers, such and state is going to arrest people who are having. And some people are calling pro-firecracker people as Hindutva extremists. And one segment of people is calling the firecracker opposition people as anti-India culture. This kind of an atmosphere of friction and animosity, itself dampens the festive spirit a bit. Generally, I would suppose that any activity which is just once a year, which is part of one's culture and tradition for so long, may be allowed to be continued, provided we can have a dialogue. Right now, the whole atmosphere of this binary separation all over the world, in this modern political system, we are just rejecting the other at the first point of argument itself. That you're wrong, I reject your position. And then similarly, he says that to you. So there's no dialogue happening. Is it at all possible that wherever you live, even in your family, there could be a dispute between two people, two members of your family, or in your building, in your society, in your colony, in your municipal area? Is it possible for people to come together and talk about this? If we do not solve this problem between us, then it is the government chap, the politician, who will again have to take a decision. This is the saddest part, that modern polity is one of the most dominating, top-down, interfering, non-sensitive, corrupt systems all over the world. And if you and I do not solve our problems together, indirectly we are giving that chap more power. Today, if he bans firecrackers, you may be happy because you wanted him to ban firecrackers. But by giving him the power, tomorrow he'll ban something else which you are against being banned. I think we should give less and less power to this centralized structure, very colonial structure of governance, and take back some of our powers which we have inherently. If you and I decide to talk to each other and resolve our issues, we don't need this, complicated and corrupt judiciary and political systems. On a larger note, till next time we see each other, stay healthy, stay happy. Namaskar.